Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector. And I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This live stream is going to be all about House of X #4. I just finished reading a short while ago. And starting around maybe around noontime, I started to get messages from people. Bro, after you read House of X4, we have to talk. There were several messages that came my way that all started off with, bro, when you finish reading it, we have to talk. Shout out to the Gibbon Gang. We are rocking the Gibbon Rules t-shirt over here. Shout out to Gibbon Gang. We're going to spend all of this broadcast, I think, talking about House of X #4 and trying to figure out what I just read. That is my objective. My sole objective is to talk about this book and to try to figure out what it is that I just read because I'm perplexed. What I will say is that if you are watching this right now, there are going to be spoilers. If you are watching this on replay, there are going to be spoilers. I promise you that. So you might not want to watch this until you read the book. You have been warned, people. For those that don't know, we are giving away a pretty awesome book this week. Shout out to Go Collect for hooking us up with this. We're giving away this book right here. Flash #139 is the first appearance of the Reverse Flash. This is the Go Collect book that is actually going to be given away this week. And just as a reminder for those people that don't yet know how to enter the contest, because the channel is growing by leaps and bounds, right? And so for those that don't know, you basically have to watch the videos that come out Monday through Friday. And in one of those videos that comes out over the course of the week, I'm going to give you a phrase in one of those videos. I'm going to show you the book and I'm going to give you the phrase to win that book. You then go to the community tab. You find the post where I'm talking about that book. You click on the MailChimp link. You plug in a couple of pieces of information, including the phrase that I would have given you in the video. And that's how you enter the contest. It is super straightforward. You watch the video, you find the phrase, you plug the phrase in, then you tune into the Ready, Set, Go preview show, which happens every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time to find out if you are the winner. And so I may actually do a standalone video on this very topic because as the channel continues to grow, more and more people have this question, and I don't want people to miss out. I don't want people to miss out on how to enter the contest. There is a video on the channel already about how to find the community tab. So if you're watching this and you don't know how to find it, you search for Regie Collects community tab. And there's a video that walks you through where the community tab is actually located. And so I may do a supplemental video that basically says, here's how you enter the Go Collect contest. That way it is out there as a resource for folks that need to reference it. So let me scroll up to say hello to some comic book soldiers that have joined me here in the room. Tina is in the house. How you doing, Tina? It's good to see you. Bussa Bus is here. How you doing, my friend? Christopher Bauer is here. What is that? L Mike 777. How you good? Party Time Comics is in the house. It's a party, y'all. Ross is here. Chris is here. Scrolling down through the comments, Eddie is here. Sith AF is here. He says House of X is bananas. Well said, my friend. Randy is here. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Daryl is here. Scrolling through. Caesar is here. Matthew, how you doing, my man? Punished Comics is in the house. NC Slapjacks is here. Johnny Lane, how you lay ya, comic bro? And Robbie Ben is also here. It is good to see you guys, and thank you all for joining this somewhat impromptu live stream. Folks knew that I was going to go live at some point this week. I started to go live yesterday, and I just could not muster the energy to get myself up off the sofa. And so, yeah. What is this? The only thing I can think about after reading this issue is the scene in The Godfather where Sonny is killed. Don Corleone just says, my boy, look how they massacred my boy. Well said, my friend. Eddie White, you, sir, I salute you. I salute you, sir. You just read one of the biggest WTF moments ever. I had to reread. Hey, I read it twice and I was like, what just happened? What just happened? It was so let's first, the cover is dope. The cover to this thing, and I don't have visuals to show you guys because this is like my kids literally just went upstairs to go to bed and I was like, I'm jumping on. The cover to this thing is dope. All that red. I mean, it is really a gorgeous cover. I used it as a thumbnail for the video. It is a super dope cover. And so here's the thing. The last issue, House of X 3, basically left us with a cliffhanger, right? And the cliffhanger was this guy, this human that was trying to stop the mutants from destroying the mother mold, basically blew himself up. And so we talked about this in one of the previous videos. And so the aircraft that the X-Men were in, there was speculation that they had escaped, right? There was belief that they had escaped. There was belief by some in the chat that they were not caught in the explosion. And so what we learn here is that they were. We learned here that they were indeed caught in the explosion. And right off the top, two X-Men, Archangel and what was this guy's name? Husk and Archangel are no more. They are both taken out with this explosion, with this human basically sacrificing himself in an attempt to stop the mutants from destroying the mother lode. Cliffhanger. There we go. But we now see that the X-Men, they are still alive, right? You have Nightcrawler, you have Mystique, you have Jean Grey, Cyclops, Wolverine. The main folks are there. Archangel, Husk, they can go. The main characters are there, right? Wolverine's arm is hanging on by a thread. He is literally holding his arm trying to keep this thing from like flopping off, right? And so we're like, cool. And so they move forward with their plan. Nightcrawler does exactly what we think he's going to do, which is to teleport certain X-Men into the proximity of these control collars, right? There's 4 locking mechanisms that hold this collar and the mother molds in place. He teleports them in, they go to work, right? 2 of them, boom, boom. 2 of them are immediately popped, right? And so we're like, we're 50% of the way there. And then it just all falls down. It all falls down. And it is just, you know, Mystique is sent off into space by some humans and the Omega Sentinel. And, you know, then the same group of humans, the 2 women, then basically take Cyclops down, right? Cyclops pops his collar. There's 1 left. Mystique is like taken out of commission. And then these 2 women basically take Cyclops down. And we are left with essentially Cyclops getting his head blown off. That is essentially what we were left with, was this visual of him being shot point blank range by the woman whose husband just sacrificed himself. She is now a fanatic, right? She has basically brought the mother mold online and basically started taking out X-Men. She takes out Mystique, blasts her off into space, shoots Cyclops in the face, and it just continues to just get worse. It continues to get worse there. Let me look to see what you guys are talking about here in the chat real quick. Scrolling down. I'm so lost on where this stuff is, and continuity is not even funny. Brother, just go with it. Just go with the ride. Ariel, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Scrolling down here, Hialeah Bro says, it took me back to the first time I read Days of Future Past. There was a little bit of heart in there to Days of Future Past with Mother Mole coming online and making the statements that she started to make about how she viewed humans and mutants and all of that kind of stuff. Comic book tax is like jaw-dropping indeed. Here we go. Great book. I was left numb. I finished reading it and I was like, wait a minute. What did I just read? Is it over yet? It was soup to nuts. Both X-Men and Power of X have been incredible. Well said. I met one person that was not impressed by these books. And it was some obscure guy that was in a comic shop in Bethesda. Dude basically was like, I'm unimpressed. And I said, do you have a pulse, sir? Because these 2 books are dope. These 2 books are dope. Hialeah, bro, this run is epic. Here's the thing. And I said this in the video that was released earlier today. This is truly a golden age, right? And I'm not trying to talk about age of comics. I'm saying that, let me translate this. We are in a sweet spot. We are in a sweet spot right now where each book that comes out, we are left hanging, waiting for the next one. We read it and we're like, where's the next one? Where's the next one coming? It is just impressive. Cuz Buzz is like, just finished, crazy. Omega Comics, he says, House of X is unbelievable. It is. Days of Future Past had framing, though. It fit in all of the ultimately might. But yeah, right now. And it's just, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you're trying to put it in some kind of order, I just don't. I think it is purposefully chaotic. It is purposefully disjointed. And what I think we do is we enjoy the parts and then they will be connected later. And that's just, you know, dealing with ambiguity. There is ambiguity abound with this. And so the thing is, we just have to embrace it for what it is. Tim Sheet says, just read it. Wow, the feeling had after watching Infinity War. You know, these guys are coming back. We just can't believe what you just read. Well said. So basically the three parts of the collar have all been popped. And so, you know, they tap into there's like back on, I guess, wherever Krakoa is, right? So on Krakoa, they have used the Cuckoos, Magneto, Charles Xavier, Storm. They have all kind of done this mind meld thing where they are all connected, and the purpose of it eludes me, but they are all essentially connected, and they are having a conversation with Jean Grey, who is basically updating them on like what's going on. Jean gives them an update and is like, hey, so we're losing people up here. We are losing people. We are down a couple of folks here. What do you want to do? And that's when Charles basically says, you guys got to get it done. Charles is like, you got to get it done. Do what you have to do. And so that is when Nightcrawler and Wolverine basically are looking out at the fourth link. And they decide that they are about to sacrifice themselves, right? And so Nightcrawler teleport. They have this whole discussion about the afterlife. And it was a beautiful discussion. Nightcrawler's like, bro, when you die, I'll be in heaven. I'll be waiting for you with open arms. Just look for me, because that's where I'll be. And that was actually a beautiful moment, because if you guys know, Nightcrawler is like the spiritual rock of the X-Men, right? He is super religious. He is the moral compass in many ways for the X-Men. And so that moment where he is basically looking at his teammate Wolverine, who has done some awful stuff, right? And basically said, brother, you are basically a hero. You have done awful things, but I'll see you in heaven. That was basically the conversation that they had. And then boom, they teleport out into basically outside of the spacecraft into space in the rays of the sun. And before you know it, Nightcrawler's gone and Wolverine is breaking down from the heat, and he is basically hacking away at this thing that is holding the Mother Molds in place. And he basically finishes off, and Mother Mold drops. Mother Mold, as she is coming on, the countdown is basically like down below 10. She falls off into the sun. Now, what you don't know is, where did Wolverine go? I think we know is that Wolverine actually survives, because we've seen him in powers of 10 in the future. So Wolverine clearly survives. Nightcrawler doesn't, right? Because we haven't seen him, but Wolverine clearly makes it. And so that they basically succeed in that they have basically stopped Mother Mold from coming online. And the reason why that was important is because Mother Mold was basically the path to Nimrod. And so they have basically averted that disaster, but the cost was really high. And the thing was that the entire team knew that they were going on a suicide mission. They knew that this was a one-way ticket, and basically each one of them is taken out. And Scott was one of the last. He was shot by these two women, as I told you about already. And then Jean is basically in a pod floating in space, and she is now under attack by Sentinel drones who are basically ripping her pod apart. And so basically every single X-Men that went off into space on a suicide mission fulfilled that destiny of basically not being recovered, and or not being able to return to Earth. And so there is this powerful moment at the end where Charles is on his knees crying with Cerebra on his head, and there are tears falling from his face, and then it goes widescreen and says no more. Yeah. Powerful stuff. So let me catch up with the comments here. There are more lives of Moira. Yeah, so she's still alive. That's still that going on. That moment with Nightcrawler and Wolverine was a tearjerker. I mean, it was definitely a powerful moment, because I think that those two have a great relationship. You know what I'm saying? They have a great relationship, and it was just interesting to see the little elf and and Bub basically kind of sort of like face what could be the end for them. But we know, based upon what we saw in Powers of 10, that Wolverine definitely survives, but Nightcrawler does not. And yeah, there was definitely a powerful moment where Cyclops was like, hey, we succeeded. You can go and take me prisoner. It's all good. And the woman was like, yeah, so we're not taking prisoners today. Boom. That was, but we kind of figured, there was speculation that she was going to become a fanatic when her husband basically blew himself up to stop the mutants. There was some speculation out there that I heard that she was going to be she was basically going to become fanatical or become radicalized. And as a result of that, she was going to take some aggressive behavior, i.e. bring Mother Mold online. And the idea was that they were letting Mother Mold basically learn offline, letting her learn and develop her moral compass, her ability to distinguish between shades of gray instead of looking at the world as black and white. She was looking at, they were allowing her to develop and grow and be able to distinguish between these shades of gray that are meaningful, right? And so they basically decided, nah, we're mad. We're going to bring her online right now. And so that was a key moment, I think. Xavier's lone tier is going to be an ocean in which humanity drowns. Ooh. Eddie dropping a little bit of poetry there. Wow. That is well done. Couple of good comments here from Mike. Put those up on screen real quick. Punished. Yeah, brother. We are representing Gibbon gang here. The Gibbon rules. This was for my buddy Steven. He hooked me up with this a couple of weeks ago. So we went ahead and threw on these sleeves, and we are sweating up in here with these sleeves on and these hot lights. Poetic ways indeed, but we are doing what we have to do to represent for the Gibbon. You understand? So I'm actually working on a blog for Comic Tom to talk about the Gibbon, to provide some context to folks out there, because I think folks are still struggling with what is this movement known as the Gibbon gang. They don't recognize that it's just fun. So I'm gonna have to write an article to be like, hey, we're just having some fun. So here, Daryl is making a good point. He says this issue solidifies Cyclops as one of his favorite characters. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that all of them went out like champs. And so I thought that there was a really powerful moment here. And the powerful moment to me was this moment where Cyclops is looking out at Wolverine, who basically sacrificed himself to stop. Well, Wolverine and Nightcrawler, by extension, sacrificed themselves to stop Mother Mold from coming online. And Cyclops says, "Bravest man I know." That is a powerful moment, because if you know anything about the history of those two individuals, oil and water, Cyclops and Wolverine do not see eye to eye. And part of the reason that they don't is that they just view the world fundamentally different. But then there was also the whole love triangle with Jean Grey. And so I thought that was a super powerful moment where Cyclops basically acknowledges the bravery of Wolverine. That was an important moment. And I think it potentially is lost on folks that don't know the history. But even if they don't know the history, I think that they acknowledge, hey, he clearly respected this dude. But if you understand the history, then you're also like, that was actually a pretty powerful moment and a powerful thing for Cyclops to actually say. So I don't know if Cyclops is one of my favorite characters. I definitely dig him as a character. What do I think is going on? Brother, I'm so confused. I don't know. The struggle is real. The struggle is real. Like one of my original with like issue 1 was that they're pod people, right? That through Krakoa they have the ability to basically grow mutants, to basically bring mutants online. And so one of my theories was that the X-Men were basically pod people, and that was one of my early videos. Well, early in the sense that it was like 5 weeks ago. That they were pod people. I really don't have a theory. I struggle with the idea that the X-Men are dead. They are on solicitations for books coming out in October, right? So my general theory right now is that they're going to tell us what's up. My theory is that all will be revealed come House of X number 5. That is my theory, and I've kind of stuck to that. In that there are, if you look at the reading order at the very end of each issue, there are 3 comics that are highlighted in red. It was House of X2, it is House of X5, and Powers of 10 6. Those 3 are highlighted in red, and my belief is that come House of X5 on September 18th, we are probably going to see something happen. I mean, that's the best that I can do in terms of theory, to be honest with you. Yeah, that is one of the great parts, is that you don't have to wait too long, right? It's almost like you get it, you digest it, you noodle it, and just as you're like, okay, where's the next one? The next one's coming, right? I mean, immediately, I love to binge read these. I mean, to be honest with you, but such is not the case for us right now. So, but the fact that they come out weekly allows you to kind of keep it going, keep the pacing going, which I think is really good, really good. I must say, Slab, House of X, and Powers of 10 books you like for the long-term hold and keep a reader copy. Well said, brother, which is why I have multiple copies of both for that very reason. Because again, this is one of those things, man, where it is a super powerful story. And this is going to be, in my opinion, one of those books that in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, we are like, remember House of X and Powers of 10 when it dropped. Remember the excitement. I'm actually pleased that I'm actually a part of this, because I think that this is an important moment, you know, and I hope that I'm around in 20 years or so when I can be like, hey, check it out. I'm going to tell you guys. The stuff you guys are reading right now is garbage. I'm going to tell you what's real. What's real was House of X and Powers of 10, the best story ever written. What you have now is garbage. And then I want to tell people to get off my lawn. That is what I'm going to do. So scrolling down to the comments here, wouldn't be the same. Yeah, well said. Scrolling down through the comments here, did I get House of X Virgin? I did not. So I went really big on some of the early like House of X, Powers of 10, 1 and 2, but I haven't gone so heavy on some of the others in terms of like the later issues and the virgins and all that, the variants. I have not done that. So no. What does it say? So I don't think that continuity really matters. It's Moira's 10th life, so she could be allowed certain events to play out and stop others while also changing to fit her needs. Yeah. Because I guess, is this the 9th life or the 10th life? I'd have to give thought to that, because I honestly haven't thought back to Moira in this whole thing, because we saw Moira's 9th life. We saw Moira's 9th life, which ended with Apocalypse, right? And her bringing back the history or the story of what was going to happen to Nimrod out of Mother Mold. So if that was her 9th life, this would be her 10th life. And the question becomes, is Moira going to make the right decision in this 10th life that we are watching right now play out that will give her an 11th life? Because we are in the 10th life right now. We have not seen the 11th life. And if you remember earlier on, if she makes the right decision, you will have an 11th life. And so my guess, and now that I'm thinking about it, maybe what we will see towards the end of this is the 11th life. And that'll be what plays out in the ongoing X-Men series. So now that I'm talking about it, maybe that's how this thing is going to play out. So now maybe I have a theory here. And this is an excellent point. We still haven't seen the 6th life. And there was a theory that was tossed about that, that Proteus was somehow going to influence that 6th life, because he was some kind of Proteus is Moira's son, who is a reality warper Omega level mutant. And so the thought was that somehow he had modified or done something with the 6th life. So I think that is still another theory that I have out there, where I talked about 6 teams, 6 Moiras on the cover. I think it was like issue 2, the 6th life, all of those things being 6. And so maybe there's something there with that 6th life that is yet to be revealed. So who knows what's going to happen with that. Yeah, but see here, the problem with that is that if you remember, the issue is that if Moira has 10 lives and we are in the 10th life, and what she was told was that if she made the right decision, that she would possibly have an 11th. I don't know if them killing her would give her the 11th. And the fact that we've already seen her be killed on purpose by one of them means that we probably won't see it again. That is my theory. So scrolling down through the comments here, Eddie White says, I feel bad for whoever picks up the X-Men after Hickman. Is just not fair. Well, thankfully, according to Hickman, he says that he is actually going to be on the ongoing X-Men series for some time into the future. So I doubt that it's going to be a 17-year run like Chris Claremont, but hopefully we can get a couple of years out of him and see whether he can take what he is doing right here on a weekly basis and stretch it out to a monthly and keep us engaged the same way. It's going to be great, because if he can do this in an ongoing series, it is going to be incredible. And so I think what was also really interesting about this particular issue is that it actually started off with reminding of us of all of the extinction level events, or I should say, massacres, if you will, of mutants. And so I thought that was really interesting. So they had the Genosha thing in here, which reminds me of like the Cameron Hodge 1990 stuff with Genosha and all of what happened there. There's decimation in here. Wanda Maximoff is mentioned, Stephen Lang. Who else is in here? Donald Pierce from the Reavers, William Stryker and his Purifiers, Bolivar Trask and the Sentinels. I mean, it's really well done where they're basically just highlighting how mutants have been just massacred time and time again, simply for being mutants. And so I just thought that was a really interesting point that they kind of highlighted on this particular interstitial page. So scrolling down, Daryl saying that moment between Nightcrawler and Wolverine was one of the best ever. Yes, indeed. Clay, welcome to the live stream. How you doing, my friend? I could see Moira's Life 6 being a small mini series, maybe like hey, I think your theory is as good as any other, my friend. So we very well could see that play out into something a little more long term. Who knows? I think anything is possible. Comic Collection Agency, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. I received your package here. I have a package from Comic Collection Agency. He sent me this. I walked out to do something really quick after the mail had already come and gone, and this was sitting on the front porch. Shout out to you, my friend. If you guys stay tuned, there's actually a couple of boxes that I'm going to unbox a little bit later if we can find some time. Leonard, brother, you didn't miss a thing. We are sitting here trying to figure out what it is that we just read. in House of X, House of X4. I am perplexed as to what it is that I've seen. They basically saved the X-Men in issue number 3, only to basically massacre them all here in issue 4. And I am left wondering what is going to happen next. And kind of on the fly, we kind of thought about this idea that what we could see is Moira at some point making, who we haven't seen in this 10th life, making some kind of decision that could give her a do-over and could give her that 11th life, being the life that we are going to see play out in the ongoing X-Men series. And so that theories that I just made up is as good as any other theory that I've heard so far. Scrolling down through some of the comments here, Hawkeye says, oh my goodness, I just finished reading House of X4, hence the name of this thing. What did I just read? Because, brother, mind-blowing stuff here. Shout out to Hawkeye. Hashtag Gibbon Gang. Stand up for Hawkeye, who took the Gibbon to Peru and hiked a snow-covered mountain with Amazing Spider-Man 110, the Gibbon in his backpack. If you guys haven't seen these photos on Instagram, you can spot them. Huge shout out to Hawkeye, aka 407 MASH, aka Mr. Hawkeye. Well done, sir. Scrolling down through some of the names here, seeing what you guys are talking about. Scrolling. Here we go. Mark says, I loved how desperate this encounter felt for both the humans and mutant. I mean, here's the thing is that there were sacrifices made on both sides, right? And it just goes to show how both sides were committed. They are committed, and they are determined to see their species win, right? And so the mutants, for their part, basically sacrificed themselves to get some information that allowed them to sacrifice themselves, right? Literally to sacrifice themselves to stop this thing from coming online. And the humans have blown themselves up and done all kinds of stuff in an effort to protect their species. And there is desperation in the air. There is no doubt about that. I mean, here's the thing that I'm still a little perplexed by, right? I am still trying to figure out, what it is that Charles, the Cuckoos, Magneto, Storm, Beast, why they formed up in those early issues. It's not quite, early in the issues, not quite clear to me why they needed to basically come together as one, right? Charles says, all 8 of us acting as one. The Cuckoos will bind each of you, enabling you to join your minds together and function as a singular organism. It's not clear to me why that was necessary. It is not clear to me. And so I- I'm I'm struggling with that one. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. No, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Huh. So I don't know. There's eight X-Men on the shuttle, and there's 8 X-Men back on Krakoa. So I don't know if there's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So let me see. Yeah, I did talk about that. Caesar says, Reggie, don't forget about Wolverine in the future was Moira's 9th life. This Moira 10th. So it shouldn't Wolverine be dead. So Moira is in the ninth. No. So Wolverine and Moira were together in the 9th life. And Moira gets reborn, which is basically a separate timeline. So when she comes back in her 10th life, everything is reset. She is reborn, right? And basically everything picks up where it left off in terms of, the course of history, and she is inserted back in. And so everyone that may have died in 9 is alive in 10. And so again, my theory here is that, Wolverine survives this 10th life, because we know that he's in the future, because we've seen that 100 years into the future. So we know Wolverine is not dead, right? He certainly wasn't dead for the 10th life, because that's what we're watching right now. So, oh, so here's a comment from Omega Comics, and I've heard this before. He says, "Pay attention to the history of Marvel Universe while reading House of X and Powers of 10. There has to be a connection between the two series, just as 2 cents." So this is the same dude that talked about Korvac, talked to me about Korvac a year ago, and now all of a sudden Korvac is like here and popping up in Marvel Comics 1000. So yeah, let's pay attention to what Omega Comics says, because you never know with this dude. Sully Two Kings, how you doing? Miguel says, "Rip Archangel." Yeah. Pedro, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. So let me scroll down through. Sully Two King says, "House of X #4. Goodness, goodness indeed." It was a bananas. Why didn't they send Magneto for such an important mission? Because as my son would say, Magneto and Charles are bosses. They're bosses. Bosses don't go into battle. They send fodder into battle. Even though the X-Men are beasts, they are not Charles and Magneto. So that's why they hung back. And again, I think that there's a reason why. These 8 X-Men are back on Krakoa. Some of them have some, technical functional skills that are necessary there. But there has to be something that is happening there. There has to be something there. And I don't know what it is. And there's probably a reason for that, because Jonathan Hickman's doing some crazy stuff with writing that just leaves us hanging in the air. Shout out to Johnny Lane, says, "I just dropped you a share on Twitter." Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. I am trying to do more of the Twitter thing. I at least log in a couple of times a day to like stuff and all that good stuff. But Twitter's not my jam. Instagram's my jam, but I want to try to be a little bit more involved in Twitter if I can. So had a bunch of people. I asked people to tag, not to tag me, but to post up their Twitter handles a couple of weeks ago. So I followed a lot of people there. And shout out to you, Johnny Lane. Ruben, how you doing? Welcome, my friend. Scrolling down through the names here. Sully Two Kings, be careful, brother. He says he's driving up to Pennsylvania. Be safe out there. Scrolling down. Comic Head 84 says, "I'm a little concerned about bringing someone back to life moment, but not concerned about not having these dead characters in the series." So, again, I could have done without Nightcrawler and not Nightcrawler, but Husk and Archangel. I could do without them, but Wolverine, Cyclops, I kind of need those guys. So hopefully what we're probably going to see play out here is maybe an 11th life, for Moira, a do-over for everybody. We'll see. Arrows like, "That moment left me speechless." It is definitely Cosmic Gibbet. So all will be saved by the Cosmic Gibbet. He's been imbued with the cosmic powers and will save all of the X-Men. I am so behind on comments. Wow, let me just catch up real quick. Yeah, it is, but I like to be able to keep up with my stream of comments. You know what I'm saying? And why I like Instagram is because people ask me questions, and so I'm oftentimes like over the course of a day trying to do different things, and I can easily respond with a video and respond to people like when I'm walking down the hall, going to the restroom or coming back from the restroom versus trying to type out because I get complicated questions sometimes that aren't yes, no. These are like questions where you have to like, respond and then you have to read it a couple more times to make sure there's no errors in it. Right. And so it's much easier for me just to record a video for folks on Instagram. That's why I prefer it, because email is even longer and takes me even more time because it's just a longer form. So scrolling through some of the comments, I did not get a single one. I did not get a single Spawn comic. A lot of people were trying to motivate me to get Spawn 300. But here's my thing. I think that Spawn 301 is what actually breaks the record, not 300. So if I buy a Spawn, it'll be 301 because that's actually the record-breaking comic. So I'll probably get one of those. Mike Gibbon Gang is in the house. Scrolling down to the comments here. So Phantom X is not coming back. I don't think is he coming back because the deal that they made was that Phantom X was actually going to stay in the Shadow Land or Shadow World after they defeated the Shadow King, and Phantom X basically allowed Charles to basically take his body. So Charles took the matter that was his body and formed his own body. So it's not even Phantom X's body anymore. It's now Charles's body. So I don't know that Phantom X is coming back. Maybe he is. I'm not quite sure. But I actually went back and read those issues because I wanted to understand how is it that Charles is now walking. And so that's why I went back and actually did that. Scrolling here, Jean without the Phoenix Force nor Xavier isn't strong enough to communicate telepathically from such great distances. They would need the mind gem to do it. Xavier needed the cuckoos to boost his power. So he is actually wearing Cerebro, right? So he's wearing Cerebro right now, and he actually wasn't necessarily using the cuckoos to boost his or amplify his power. He said he was using them to link the others to him. He is wearing Cerebra, so he's wearing a mobile Cerebra, so he should have enough power to be able to reach, especially if Jean on the other side is being amplified to be able to match the distance. At least again, that's my theory based upon what I'm reading here in the comic. If Charles with Cerebra or Cerebro at the time was able to telepathically communicate with everybody around the world with, I don't know. There could be something there, but that's not what he alluded to here in the comic. It was more about being able to unify the 8 individuals into one singular entity versus trying to close the gap. It was Jean, however, that made the comment that she needed some additional assistance to boost her own power without the Phoenix Force. So I don't know. Scrolling down through some of the comments here, decoded message at the end was next something sinister. Okay. Comics Misexplained, dropping some knowledge there because I never decode those things. I never decode them. I wait for somebody to decode it for me and tell me what they are. So now we know that the decoded message at the bottom was next something sinister. So we will see. Scrolling down through the comments here, seeing what you guys are talking about. Scrolling down through some of the comments here. So the series solicitation I'm looking forward to is after House of X and Powers of X is Excalibur. Just a lot of interesting people on the team. I would agree with that. That team, I did a video on the composition of the 6 X-Men teams that are coming in October. The composition of the teams are interesting. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I tried to read some Excalibur. I tried to read it. It's not a good read. Excalibur is not a good read. And so I'm hopeful. That this new Excalibur is going to be pretty good. I've put each one of the 6 on my pull list, and I'm basically going to go 1 through 5, issues 1 through 5 on all 6. And then I'll reevaluate. Are these good? Are these not? And should I continue? If not, I'll kill them. Those that are good will be continued into the future. But all 6 right now are on the pull list for issues 1 through 5. And more than likely, at a minimum, I'm keeping the X-Men, right? Because that's Jonathan Hickman. He's going to be writing that. So I'm actually looking forward to reading that. So Jen's like he's got a mobile hotspot on his head. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting looking helmet, right? I mean, he a lot of people say he looks like the maker. I mean, I think he looks pretty dope. I mean, maybe he should have contoured the helmet just a little bit. You know, I mean, just like Magneto's got a dope hood, right? Charles, you know, maybe he needs a bigger body. Maybe he needs, if he went to the gym, he bulked up, then maybe that he wouldn't look like a bobblehead, because right now he looks like a little bit of a bobblehead. Scrolling down to the comments. Um oh dragon. Oh dragon. Scrolling down through the comments. Allison says it's interesting that we haven't yet seen Rogue and Gambit yet, and we are halfway through this prologue that is House of X and Powers of 10. I mean, there's a lot of characters that we haven't seen, right? We haven't seen, have we seen Colossus? I would have to go back and think about that. I mean, we really didn't even see Storm until this issue, right? I don't think Storm's been around. I don't think we saw the Cuckoos, but I don't think we saw Storm. We had not seen Beast, I don't think. And there's still some issues left. There's still some issues left. How many issues are we? Yeah, so we're pretty much through it. We have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more issues. We have 5 more issues to go. So I don't know. We could see this larger cast of characters play out. We will see. Yeah, Gambit does get the short end. There's no doubt about that. Oh, Eddie, you are hilarious. Scrolling down here, I'm one of the few comic book readers who hasn't picked up a single issue of House of X and Powers of 10. The Age of X-Men miniseries earlier this year made me take a break from the X-Men for a while. So where's Tina? Tina, we need to boot this guy from no, I'm joking. Brother, I respect it. I respect your decision. I would say this is arguably one of the best series that many people have read in a very long time. And so I understand taking a break, and I would never tell you to do something that you don't want to do, but I would say consider getting the trade. Consider getting the trade and then digesting that, because I'm telling you, arguably one of the best series that I have read in a very long time. So no, the Apocalypse War in Life 9 is still happening and running parallel to Life 10. No, this life is over. I think that's over, isn't it? Because Moira, Apocalypse is probably dead. He was killed by Nimrod, and Moira was basically given the data that allowed her to figure out that Mother Mold led to Nimrod, and Wolverine killed her, which allowed the 10th life, the life we're watching, to be seen right now. So I don't think that the 9th life is still going on. The 9th life was wrapped up already. So scrolling down through the comments here, cover exit. Yeah, see, that's one of the perplexing things right there. That is one of the perplexing things right here, is that the solicitations for October are featuring these X-Men that literally just died. They're on the covers, right? And so again, my theory here that I made up on the fly is that we are in the 10th life. At some point in this 10th life, Moira is going to make a decision. If you remember back, they basically say you have 10 lives, Moira, but if you make the right decision, you could have an 11th. My theory is we have not seen Moira in this 10th life. We know that she came back from the 9th life to this 10th life, which allowed them to know that Mother Mold led to Nimrod, which is why they went to attack the station where Mother Mold was. And that was from Moira and Apocalypse and Wolverine capturing that information in the 9th life, brought back to the 10th life. My thought is in the 10th life, Moira is going to make a decision that is going to give her an 11th life. That 11th life will allow everything to reset. It will allow her to take a different path from every one of her other previous lives. And we will potentially see the 11th life play out in the ongoing X-Men series. That is my theory that I've made up, and it is just as good as any other theory. So yeah, that was one of my early theories here. Rob Worst is making a point here. He says, kind of thinking the Maker X-Men is a clone grown body and the real Xavier is elsewhere. I don't know. One of the theories I had was that the X-Men were basically pod people that were grown from Krakoa. But what we know is that, what is his name? Phantom X basically forfeit his body else in other series. I can't remember exactly which book it was, but they were fighting the Shadow King in the Shadow Dimension. And Phantom X basically said to Charles, take my body. And I have done nothing but bad things my entire life. This is my opportunity to do something good. Take my life, take my body, and I will live here in the Shadowland. And so that is how Charles basically took Phantom X's matter, reshaped it, and created his own body. Now, anything could happen, but that is essentially what we know from the continuity as to how Charles is now walking. So scrolling down through some of the comments here, scrolling down. So Caesar is saying here, Hickman is writing the first 6 issues of New Mutants. Something about those issues really important. I did not know he was only writing the first 6. I mean, he kind of made comments, and I think it was an interview or something like that where he said he was going to be around for a while, but he didn't specifically call out what he was going to be working on. My assumption was that it was going to be the ongoing X-Men series and New Mutants, but maybe I'm hearing now that he's only doing the first 6 of New Mutants. So we shall see. Scrolling down through some of the comments here, this isn't just the best X-Men story I've read in a while. It's on its way to being the best I've ever read. Woo, big talk. Here we go. So Chaos Lord, how you doing, brother? Chaos Lord says, I plan on reading them, but will wait until the series is ended so I can sit down and overload my brain. Brother, you're going to read this and sparks and smoke is just going to fly and then you're just going to roll over. It's going to be mind blowing. No, it really is a good read. It really is. Hawaiian punch in your face. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. He says, I found a nice copy of X-Men 129. There you go. Congrats, brother. I'm glad you were able to track it down. I tried to help, man. I mean, hey, it's tough out there. It's tough out there sometimes for certain books. It is tough out there. But I'm glad you were able to find one. So hold on. Here we go. So Reggie, good live chat. Love to see everyone talking about a good book. This is what we did in the 80s while trading. Hey, there we go. And I think that's one of the cool things, man, is that this isn't about speculation. This isn't about hype. This isn't about money. It's nothing more than just having a good time reading a cool book. And the thing is that, you know, the theories that I make up on the fly are just as good as anyone else's theories. And it's just about having some fun, you know, I mean, making some stuff up, but you know, it's about having some fun. So I'm gonna try to open up this little gift here. So I had the chance, I was on Instagram the other day and I saw someone had something on Instagram that I was interested in. And so I reached out and was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take that book real quick. And then they had another book and I was like, well, you know what? While I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and take this other book too. So I made two little quick purchases. So I'm going to show you guys what it is that I picked up. And again, this is one of the cool things. I like to buy off of Instagram. I like to buy off of Instagram because I know the people that I'm buying from and they know me. And the package was delivered. My man reached out to me. He said, hey, did you get it? Is everything okay? Is the packaging fine? You don't necessarily get that on the eBays. You don't get that level of concern on eBay. But I love working with people on Instagram that I know. And it's just it's a cool way to keep the money moving in a direction where, you know, the community as a whole benefits, you know. And so I was given a really good fair price on this thing. So I honestly could not complain at all about any of it. So I'll show you guys what I ended up picking up. Two cool books, I do believe. Get this one undone. So this one right here, this is a nice book. This is a nice book, probably on par with my other 2 copies. So Iron Man and Submariner one shot right there. This is a really cool book. This one preceded the Iron Man solo series and the Submariner solo series. And what I like about this one shot is that this little thing right here is on the cover of Iron Man 1. and Submariner 1. And so I love this little burst right here because they actually pulled that over into the others. So this is a really, really nice copy of this one shot. So who can I recommend on Instagram for what? So that's the book that I ended up picking up off of the IG machine. And it's a pretty nice book. Definitely the whites are white and you cannot be upset with that. There's a little bit of a crease that breaks color across here, a little diagonal, but who cares? And I want to say that this is my third copy. Staples are clean. It's a nice looking book. Definitely a complete book because that was one of the questions that I asked. Definitely a really cool book right there. So thank you, Sammy. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Sith. Definitely appreciate that. I definitely dig that book. Anytime I see that, man, I'm like, hey, I have to get on it. So what Instagram sellers are legit? I would say if you message me on Instagram, I can introduce you to a couple of people, both dealers and individuals. I can give you an introduction to them. Generally, what I'll say is that I try not to follow anybody that makes me uncomfortable. So if I follow them, they're probably a good person. But if you message me on Instagram, I will introduce you to a couple of people that I've done business with that you can have some assurance of that are good people. So this next one right here is a first of a kind book for me. This is a first of a kind for me. This is Chamber of Chills number 21, Harvey Publications from 1954. This is a super low grade pre-code horror. And I knew it going in that it was super low grade, but I bought it because it is the first pre-code horror book that I've ever owned. So there you go. Chamber of Chills number 21. This book has definitely seen some better days, but it is a pretty cool book. So I'm definitely pleased with this one. It is a low grade book and I knew it going in. This one actually has a spine of cover completely split and cover detached. First time I've ever bought a book with a detached cover. Might be the last. But it's definitely a cool book. The price was definitely fair on this one. I could press this bad boy probably to a nice 1.2 if that were actually a thing. So there you go. That's a pretty cool book. Awesome that you picked it up, says Sammy. Pre-code horror. Yeah, and again, I've never owned a book of this sort, so I decided to jump in and get a nice book. Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I bought it. Was like I can now tell DS Comics to leave me alone. Yeah, I'm on the board with the 1.0. This is actually also the lowest grade book I've ever purchased. I've never purchased a book this low grade before, but it's a cool book, right? I think it's a pretty cool book. It's a decapitation panel, so that can't be bad. Can't be bad. So definitely a cool book. All right, so let's see what's in this package over here, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. This package was unfortunately cut open a little bit, so let's see what's inside here. Hopefully nothing was damaged. Sorry for the noise. Give me one sec. All right. Oh, I may not be able to read this one. This is a long letter. That's a long letter. That's a long one. So let me see if I can skim it. Yeah, I can't read this. I'm gonna have to read. I'm gonna have to read this one in a minute. But there is some. Oh man, some stuff popped open. Some stuff popped open. Yeah. All right. So let's see what we have here. This is from Comic Collection Agency. Comic Collection Agency sent this over to me, and I'm gonna have to go through here to see what's all in here. But there's a couple of really cool like cards in here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that. There's a couple of cards in here. Spider-Man collector cards. These are cool. Electro mug shot. Sorry about that. Yeah, it is a little hard to see these because they're black and white. Here's the Vulture. That's cool. Craven the Hunter right there. Doc Ock, my man. Sandman. Mysterio, a couple of really cool cards here. There's a pack of another Spider-Man cards right there. And then there's a couple of little boxes here. Oh, they're baubles, little bobbleheads. That will not last 2 seconds if my kids get it. It will not last 2 seconds. So there's two of those, and then there is a box here. What's inside of this? Oh, these are cool. I've never seen these before. Are these comics? I think they are. I've never seen these before. I'm gonna have to read the note to see what these are. Maybe somebody can tell me. Let me get rid of this comments on screen. Sorry about that. Oh, here we go. It's a couple of little things here. And I think these are comics here. Not too familiar with these, so I'm gonna have to read the note to figure it out. They're sent in top loaders and appear to be comics, so I'm gonna have to read through it. So Comic Collection Agency, brother, thank you very much. I definitely appreciate it. After I read this thing, what may happen is that some of this stuff or all of this stuff may go back out to the comic book community, so stay tuned, because that's oftentimes what he does is he sends me things to pass on to other people, so stay tuned. All right, and so with that, I'm actually gonna remind you guys, this is the Go Collect giveaway book this week. It is Flash number 139. This is a 3.0. This is the first appearance of the reverse Flash. So you definitely want to stay tuned to the various videos that are coming out from the channel to find out how you can add that book to your collection. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. There we go. Somebody saying Secret War variants. So thank you for that. I am not familiar. I don't even know if I've seen those. So I'm actually going to have to go read this letter and figure it out. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. Hashtag Gibbon Gang. If you guys are representing the Gibbon, make sure you tag me on Instagram so that I can give you a shout out in my story. And stay tuned, because like I said, I'm actually working on a blog post where I'm actually going to talk a little bit about what Gibbon Gang is for all those people that are not aware. And again, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me just a little bit. If you guys need me, feel free to reach out to me at Regie Collects on Instagram, or regiecollects@gmail.com. Take care.